Hello, and I am live. Welcome to the Katie Halper Show, this special late night stream. In fact, thank you guys for coming. I think we're live, right? Are we live? Am I live? Is this the right thing? Late night watch party. I don't see it moving. Can you guys see it? This is weird. Oh, now I see it. There must be a delay because I'm just seeing it appear. How's the sound? Is everything okay? Let me quit a lot of programs. Guys, not every show gives you these openings, but like, where would you be without these technical disasters? This isn't even a technical disaster. I don't know how we would, Brad, what would you describe this as? Not a technical disaster. Should I let you in? Like, put you on screen, or do you want to just type in the messages? Whatever you want. I'm good with either one. Let's see. Let me go to the comments. People are here. Okay. This timeline isn't okay. My book's sick. Not sure. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so I want to apologize for the time thing. I honestly I thought I couldn't even stream, and then I thought I could, but we're doing a short special stream. This is not going to usually be the time. And this is kind of a meta stream. Wow, are you guys in luck? Because I interviewed an amazing guest earlier today. Is this thing backwards? So it says, no, it's okay. An amazing guest. And his name is Martin Garbus, and he is the lawyer to many people, ranging from Daniel Ellsberg to Nelson Mandela to Lenny Bruce to Leonard Peltier, some Leonards in there thrown into the mix, and also Stephen Donziger. And as people probably know, we're having an event for Stephen Donziger, and that is Wednesday, December 8th at 7 p.m. And that is something that I'll be co-hosting with Brianna Joy Gray, Crystal Ball, and Marianne Williamson. We're very excited about that. And so I wanted to just take the moment, because I spoke to Martin Garbus, who's an amazing person. You'll hear him shortly. We're not going to be able to, not obviously, you don't even know what the heck I'm doing on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, we're doing this stream for Stephen Donziger. So let me take off this hat. This hat is my hat, but I'm going to be putting on my Stephen Donziger hat on Wednesday, which is when we'll be doing the stream for Stephen Donziger, who is an incredible attorney who, if you guys have watched this show, you probably know he is an incredible person. And he basically is serving a prison sentence of 6 months. And the reason he's doing that, honestly, is not literally, because I guess the literal legal definition is not what I'm about to say, but is functionally because he decided to commit the crime of defending indigenous people in Ecuador whose water was poisoned by Chevron. And technically, he just wouldn't hand over his, no big deal, just wouldn't hand over, he just wouldn't violate attorney-client privilege, didn't hand over a cell phone and a laptop. And again, it's an amazing story. We're going to be talking about it more on Wednesday. And when I say we, I literally mean me, Marianne Williamson, Brianna Joy Gray, Crystal Ball, with guests including Chris Hedges, Richard Wolf, Lucy Lawless, as in Xena Warrior Princess, David Sirota, Nina Turner, Nathalie Segovia, Ron Kuby, Kyle Kalinsky, Paul Pas Emino, Ali Gerard. And did I mention Susan Sarandon? Pretty exciting, right? So here's the thing. I had a little bit of, and thank you very much. Anyone who donates anything, like here, Jonathan Boyle, aka Big Fan, grab a bubble tea on me. Thank you. I'm actually going to take that money and I'm going to put it towards free. Hold on. Freedonziger.com. Freedonziger.com. In fact, you can. It looks like they need to. Someone needs to update that website and put our stream on it. But yeah, make sure that you go to freedonziger.com, and at the top of it, you're going to see a donate bar thing that you can hit. And I really hope that you do that. So you go to donziger.com, freedonziger.com, and then you'll see a donate now at the top right. And you're going to hear why we really need to donate to donziger.com. And that is what is going to be this live stream that we're doing on Wednesday. So again, Make sure you turn out, you come on, you tune in. As Biden says, put on the radio, put the radio on, listen to the telephone. 400 black children can't, 100 white children can, whatever he said during that debate. That was amazing. But instead of doing that, just go to youtube.com/the Katie Halper Show and watch me, Marianne Williamson, Brianna Joy Gray, Crystal Ball host amazing guests, absolutely incredible guests like Chris Hedges, Richard Wolf, Roger Waters, Lucy Lawless, David Sirota, Kyle Klensky, Nina Turner, Paul Pasimino, Ali Gerard, Ron Kubi, Natalie Segovia, Susan Sarandon, guys. Okay, this is a major moment. So I was incredibly honored to speak to Martin Garbus, one of Stephen Donziger's lawyers, and he's going to just tell you, I think, everything you need to know about this case. And he is one of the lawyers working on it. Oh, Stephen Donziger. You've represented the likes of Daniel Ellsberg, Leonard Peltier, Nelson Mandela, Václav Havel, Cesar Chavez, Lenny Bruce, and now Stephen Donziger. So how does Stephen's case compare to those other cases?
I've been very lucky. I've represented prisoners of conscience. Steve is one of them. He is someone who believes very strongly in what he does, and he's willing to face the possibility of punishment. Mandela did the same. Of course, he went away for 27 years. Chavez did the same, and he's never served as long as Steve will serve in prison. But these are people who have a commitment to a struggle. They know that the struggle may wind up harder and harder as the days go on, and they're willing to do that. They're people who have families. Mandela had a family, Chavez did, Steve does, Dan Ellsberg does. And they're prepared for the onslaught of punishment. Whether you're going against the South African government or farm workers in California or the powerful Exxons and Mobils and Chevrons of the world, you're going to face awesome challenges. And Steve and his wife and son are facing those. And he does this with dignity. And I suspect jail will radicalize him even more, as it did for so many other people. So I think that while what Steve is going through is awful, it's also an education. Not that he needs particularly, I think he knew a lot of that walking in, but he's going through an extraordinary period of time. I have the same credentials basically as Steve. I'm a lawyer, privileged, well-educated, and to go to jail is a very difficult thing. And he's doing it with grace.
How do the obstacles you face fighting for Steve compare to the obstacles you faced in other cases? And are you surprised by how hard you've had to fight?
I'm surprised that Chevron does not see it in their interest to stop it. That basically they have invalidated the Ecuadorian decree. I have to believe that their attempts to destroy Steve will only invigorate and form a new cadre of people in the way that Ralph Nader did decades ago, who will fight against the environmental companies. I think they're making a terrible mistake in their decision to demonize Steve and to spend hundreds of millions of dollars over the years to attack him. Representing him as a lawyer means that every day another motion is going to come in that you have to respond to. And on the other side, you have a law firm, Gibson and Dunn, and other law firms that are getting paid top dollar to represent them as they try and destroy Steve. So one of the differences here, let's say, when you're dealing with Chavez, you were dealing with farm workers in the middle of Bakersfield or Delano. Here you're dealing with top law firms in New York, guys getting paid $750, $1,000, $1,250 an hour, and they have a blank check to run up as much time as they want. It's in their self-interest. Every single claim that they can think of, whether they win or lose, it's in their self-interest to do it. So if you're representing Steve as a lawyer, you can win 19 out of 20, or you can even win more. You can win them all, but it doesn't matter to the extent that Chevron has endless money that they're putting in this. And the prosecution is an example of the endless money. I would call it illegal money, but endless money that they're prepared to throw at Steve because his success would only, as they see it, would only invigorate and create other lawyers, other activists to fight on. And I think a lot of that's happened.
What of the legal moves that he has encountered, like the legal obstacles he's encountered, the Kaplan sending it to a corporate firm, Kaplan handpicking Preska actually saying that he needed to be hit in between the eyes with the 2x4, the proverbial 2x4. Which of those was the most shocking to you, or were they not shocking?
Well, I think the Preska thing about hitting Steve with a 2x4 was shocking in its honesty. And I'm sure she didn't want it to come out that way. And I'm sure she's sorry she said it, because Chevron is claiming that they're following normal, legitimate processes. But as you pointed out, you summed it up beautifully. Kaplan appoints the prosecutor. Kaplan decides the crime. And Kaplan decides how far the litigation will go and to what end it will go. So how a man like Kaplan, putting aside who he is, how any judge has that, today it's Donziger, I don't know who it is tomorrow, how any judge has that kind of power to start a criminal prosecutor with a prosecutor that he chooses, in this case from Chevron, and he defines the crimes. By the time he is appointed a criminal prosecutor, Steve has already been disbarred. Steve has already, according to Kaplan, owed millions and millions of dollars to Chevron. And yet Kaplan can keep going on. And it's rather astonishing. Kaplan has a reputation in the legal industry for doing exactly what he has done. One of the things is, why is it Kaplan involved in this case? And the history of how Chevron from 2010 on tried to get a criminal prosecution, how the US attorney Berman refused to do it. Berman ultimately gets fired from Trump for a whole bunch of things, this being part of it. In other words, Berman refused to do what the oil industry, which supported Trump, wanted. So he's fired, and he says there's a cover-up number anytime the US prosecutor decides not to prosecute. He says, well, we don't have the money for it. And everybody understands that means something else. And now you have a prosecution which the Chevron prosecutor has already billed the government for $1 million. And as the case goes up and down, will bill them for much, much more. So as I said, Donziger has basically, I'm in there pro bono. We have other lawyers who are in a different position in their lives than I am. And the Chevron can break people by filing a motion every single day. Doesn't matter if the motion says that Christmas is unconstitutional. Whatever the motion says, you have to deal with it. And when you deal with it, you see Chevron putting in Affidavits, briefs, they can be preposterous, but they have to be answered. Steve is out raising money for all the other lawyers. I happen to be pro bono, but he has very, very substantial legal needs. And Chevron's money can just drown him unless he can raise money. And he's the only one who can do it. No one can do it for him. And he tries to do that on Twitter. No matter what he does, he will never have the assets, of course, of Chevron. And that's very serious. There is something to be said about good lawyering, which can do it 24 hours a day, as Chevron can do it. If you're doing it full-time pro bono and you have a wife and a family, that's very difficult. And this case is complex. In other words, it starts fundamentally in 2010. The files in this case would fill, I'm sitting in an enormous room, would fill this room many, many times. I get in after Kaplan. I don't know a lot of the stuff that happened before Kaplan. And there are many other lawyers who've been involved in it with me since Kaplan. But the amount of facts and the amount of documents that Chevron can throw at Steve is extraordinary. I don't know of any other case in the United States where a corporation has spent this kind of money solely to destroy somebody. They're not facing a judgment, Chevron. They have vacated it. They have manipulated the legal system to get appointed the judges they want. I have fears about what happens when Steve's sentence is over, which is, let's say, probably about 4.5 months from now. In other words, will Chevron continue to go after him? You can go after anybody. And if you don't have the resources to fight back, they will get you one place or another. So Steve's 6 months, he gets out of jail after the 6 months, is not the end. They're not going to let go unless they're defeated. And that takes an enormous amount of money. And I hope the people who watch this show will think of contributing to Steve's legal defense fund.
What was it like representing Lenny Bruce? And what does Lenny Bruce's case have to do with all of this?
Lenny Bruce was a successful satirist, nightclub performer. I think to call him a comedian is somewhat inaccurate. A lot of the stuff he was talking about was not funny. He was talking about the Catholic Church. He was talking about illegal prosecutions. Yes, he used words that were not normally used, but he used it in the context of, let's say, social commentary. When they started to prosecute Lenny, he was the most successful person in his genre, more respected, let's say, than a Mort Saul or almost any other person. He then went through years of prosecution. He was broken to bits. When I saw him shortly before he died, he was back on drugs, 100 pounds at least overweight. And whether he committed suicide or OD'd accidentally, I don't know. But the similarity there is that certain forces, basically, Catholic Church, that's a much longer discussion, in New York and other places, saw him as an enemy. We could go through some of the things he said, and you could see why it would be the Catholic Church as a body. There was a man in New York called Father Hill who was leading a crusade against anti-Catholic people. Bruce, he lived in Manhattan and Yorkville, and Bruce got caught up in it. And Hogan had a chance to stop it against Bruce. Hogan saw it to his political advantage. and a man named Richard Q, who was ultimately the trial lawyer against us in Bruce, ran for DA, lost. But the prosecution in that case was seen as a stepping stone for other people. Now, what's happened in the Chevron case, it's been a stepping stone for a law firm called Gibson Dunn, a lawyer named Randy Mastro, to make extraordinary amounts of money and to show how far they are prepared to go to advance corporate interests and Trump interests at a time when that's a very lucrative business. So you can trace, I mean, they're totally dissimilar cases, of course, except that they are both against the establishment, and the establishment is committed to destroying them, holding them up as examples of people who, if they try to fight against, whether it be the Catholic Church or environmental destroyers, it's a way of telling those people you will be destroyed. So I knew Bruce. I had seen him in California long before we represented him. And I saw him a good deal over that 4-year period. And during the trial, I visited him many times in his hotel. And he was a mess. He was drugged out. He was defeated. He was defeated in a way that Steve has not been. He would come to me, I would go to his hotel, and he would say, Marty, I have it. I said, what's that? He says, I have the case. I said, what's the case? And he would show me an 1813 case from London dealing with sheep grazing on somebody else's land. And I said, no, Lenny, that's not it. That's not going to do it. And he said, well, look at that sentence. And I'd say, Lenny, that's not going to do it. And this was a guy who had everything together before this started. He had a wife, he had a daughter, and I hope the analogy is not as I'm making it. I mean, when he lost, Steve is not going to give in to that. He's a different cut of cloth.
Right.
So people like Chavez have their life ruined or harmed. You know, I mean, Mandela's 27 years in a jail. Dan Ellsbury came to me before he distributed the papers, and he said to me, he gave me, amongst other things, his reasons for distributing the papers, namely, that it would show how America acted prior to Vietnam to get into it, and how America lied about the Gulf of Tonkin. And it was Dan's feeling that it would end the Vietnam War because America's lying was so horrendous. I told Dan that I didn't think it would get anywhere. And I told Dan that what would happen is that I thought he would end in jail for his life. I was wrong on both counts. So it's difficult at the beginning. So I told Dan, don't do it. Dan did it. And of course, he was correct. Dan was able to mobilize a substantial amount of money to defend himself, and was able to mobilize, had available an anti-war movement. Steve doesn't have that yet.
That's why we're doing this stream on Wednesday, and that's why we're trying to get the word out. That was really emotional, by the way. When I was talking to him, I was like just in the conversation, but watching it, it's just disturbing. And it's moving though to know that there are lawyers like Martin Garbus and Steve Donziger out there who are, fighting on the right side. And it's so sad, the story of Lenny Bruce. And of course, Mandela was locked up. And of course, Leonard Peltier is still locked up as we speak. It's really important. But that was a pretty moving chat. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up about that. We're not going to be able to play all of that because obviously, not obviously, but we are doing this 3-hour stream. You guys are all going to come to the stream, right? a 3-hour stream Wednesday, 7 to 10 p.m. You're going to come, you're going to watch, you're going to really like it because it's going to be not just really important, but it'll be entertaining. We're going to have Brianna Joy Gray, Crystal Ball, and Marianne Williamson and I. We're all going to be hosting it, and we're going to have amazing guests like Susan Sarandon, Chris Hedges, Richard Wolf. Definitely come. It's going to be amazing. Really important story. We're going to have to fundraise for this. And yes, it's 7 p.m. EST. Yeah, if everyone gave $15, it would make a big difference. Yes. So remember to go to freedonziger.com. That's true. So thanks, guys. I will see you Wednesday night. Don't forget, see you Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Wednesday, December 8th, 7 p.m. EST. And see you there. Thanks again.